さて今回のポケモンはピカチュウ。そう、二度キングじゃな。
Welcome to the GrindCast, a podcast where I take all the unusable grinding footage from my Nuzlocke series and use it as a backdrop for a podcast. All these amateur Nuzlocke creators just toss this footage away, but not me. And joining me today is the clickbait guru himself, Pedantic Romantic.
Gotta milk every second of video footage out of that Nuzlocke that you've got.
That's how I do it, because, like you watch Mumkey or whatever, and he just cuts it out. I spent like an hour doing this, so I wanted to make sure I got some use out of it. But being kind of like a Pokemon podcast, I think I should start every episode asking the guest, what's your history with Pokemon?
Okay, so for the history with Pokemon, it's tied up in my history with consoles, I think. And Pokemon was one of the few franchises that I actually have that deep connection to. I didn't get the Zelda games, I didn't get the Mario games. Because we, the buying philosophy was go to the game rack at the GameStop and find the cheap games, right? Find something that was like $5 or under. Yep. Just because the family as a whole had sort of an obsession with deals and steals. But deals. Pokemon was one of those few that we'd splurge for just because being as isolated from games and gaming culture and information about games as I was, I just had a few encounters with various media properties of Pokemon to know that was a thing I liked, and so we got the Pokemon games.
And how old are you in this?
I was 10. I think it was Christmas when I was 10, and I got a GameCube, which was my first console. So that was late in the GameCube's lifespan. And then the following Christmas, when I was 11, I got a Game Boy Advance SP.
Well, that is really late in the game. The GameCube was dead. The Wii was out by that point, right?
The Game Boy Advance SP was the last one they had in the back room of a Marshall's or something.
Okay.
The Game Boy Advance SP was very dead by the time I got my hands on it.
That's hilarious. You don't strike me as a gamer, right?
Well, I was pretty heavily, but more so through lack of much else to do. I was a massive reader, so it was reading and gaming that were sort of balanced.
Yeah, you were playing Pokemon at 10. What was the first one? Fire Red, Leaf Green, Emerald?
Well, so I had relatively few friends just because I moved schools so often. And most of my friends in early life were actually friends of family or kids of friends of family. So we'd go over because my parents were hanging out with someone else's parents, and then I'd hang out with their kids. And so there's one kid who was a bit older, and I went over to his house, and basically all of the more expensive games I got for GameCube was stuff I played with him, and so I knew of their existence and knew that they were cool. And so I ended up getting Kirby's Air Ride, Super Smash Brothers, things like that, because I'd played those with him. And then among those was Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
You started with that one?
I don't remember, because obviously I got the GameCube first, but I'm not sure how long...
If you did, that's the greatest thing ever.
I'm not sure how long into possessing the GameCube I got XD Gale of Darkness, because I seem to remember the first Pokemon I played being on the Game Boy, so...
I don't know.
I'm gonna say that it wasn't until after playing Pokemon on the Game Boy that I eventually got XD Gale of Darkness, so I'll start the timeline there. And we were big yard sale people, going around finding cool stuff at yard sales. And so at one of these yard sales at some point, we found, I think it was just Pokemon Gold that first time. So
Classic.
That was my first game, Pokemon Gold, on Game Boy Advance SP there. I got Feraligatr as my starter. I played through the whole game. mostly, the solo starter strategy. So he was up to like level 77 or 79 or something, and I was stuck in what is it, the Kanto region? Yeah, I was stuck in the Kanto region trying to figure
That's the
out
game
like,
we
the
had.
power plant fuckery. Like I was trying to decode that, and like I accidentally deleted my file or something, and so I mean I've replayed it many times since. But a big part of my early Pokemon playing was guides, because I've always been someone who is into like the info surrounding media as much, if not more so, than the media itself. And so at these same yard sales, I ended up acquiring over the years a bunch of guides for the various Pokemon games, in many instances before I had the games themselves. And I'd read them cover to cover multiple times, so I knew
Same.
the ins and outs of a lot of these games.
I have guides for Pokemon games I don't own or ever did own or ever played, but I just would I'd toil over all the art and like all the moves and levels, and I'd like write my own things.
My Pokemon Gold and Silver guide is a particularly cool one, because this wasn't the basic bitch Prima guide here. This is some cool like unofficial guide. I like professionally published, it seems like it's bound and printed, although there's a number of typos and there's just like weird like text placement.
No, you're right.
outside
The
of the text
first
box.
the Prima guide to come out for any Pokemon game like that's new is the worst guidebook in existence for any video game. They don't even have
This one
like move sets or levels, or like it's worthless.
This one had real character to it. In every instance that was the first appearance of a Pokemon in terms of availability to catch it, there'd be a little box just sort of like detailing the Pokemon and how useful it was. Like it would talk about like relative to the Pokemon you could catch in that area and relative to other Pokemon of its type.
Oh, I love it.
And so that was like one of the earlier instances of sort of editorial writing that I think I consumed, actually, now that I think about it. Just sort of like opinion pieces. Just like, how good is this guy really? Do you want to catch him?
like would it be like, oh, he's good for the 6th gym, but not for the, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and it wasn't even intensely super like specific strategy focused. It was just kind of like these opinion pieces on the viability of the Pokemon, like you'd see in some forum or something that I wasn't online, so I didn't visit forums.
So you're saying this Pokemon guide had an impact on you in your now career choice?
Maybe. I mean, that seems like a bit of a tenuous connection to draw, and I only just realized it now. But I was definitely a big fan of that guide, just because it had more personality. Like there was
I agree.
Just a subjectivity and a personality to it.
Hey everybody, it's Scissor Guy 82, and I'm coming to you today with a fresh new Pokemon guidebook review. We're doing the Prima guide of Pokemon Emerald version. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at this. Look at Anarin.
That's an angel.
And then I got Pokemon Blue? Yeah, it was Pokemon Blue, I think.
So you start with gold.
For the Game Boy
and then you go
at
to
another
blue.
yard sale. So the order of playing was Pokemon Gold and then Pokemon Blue, I
Interesting.
think. And the guide I had for that was interesting. Because it was like a Pokemon novel, like it was narrative. But
I had the official
like,
guide for
followed-
Red and Blue.
No, it wasn't the official guide. But it followed like a character like playing through the Pokemon game. And so like it didn't have an index and it didn't have info and like the moves and damage. I loved the Gold and Silver guide because it had like a list of all the TMs and the power.
You would, Mr. Analysis. You would love all the numbers and like facts and
Oh
things.
yeah, I was a big numbers guy, and that's where a lot of my like even relatively experienced Pokemon players on various YouTube Pokemon shows, like I always am yelling at the screen just because I know all the moves and the stats.
Do you
and all
still?
those.
Are you still up to date?
I'm not as up to date. My memory is pretty solid.
You could hold your own though.
But yeah, even on the newer Pokemon, I can tell you what a move does for the most part.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I sort of had to hunt through that one for info because I couldn't like turn to the page and have the map of the cave, but I could get like the route they went, or like, oh, there's a hidden item. And so
Is there no pictures?
Interesting. No, it's like a narrative, like it's a novel.
It's a light novel.
But the story of the novel is not someone playing through it. It's not like meta, like there's the main character is someone playing the game. The main character is the player character in Pokemon, the game. But like the items and like, you know, he turned left at Fuchsia City and like behind the cut bush he found the items. It's this really weird.
That's really, really
secondhand
weird.
way of getting guidance on that game.
I never even heard of that. That's crazy.
I still got them all.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you like a nostalgia memory lane every now and then? Like take a look in the corner and see it? Go through it?
Yeah, I haven't read through them in a while.
yeah.
But I mean, I know most of them pretty thoroughly just because I reread them so many times. After that point, the timeline gets fuzzy, but I played Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Did I have? I don't think I ever owned or own a guide for that. My library had one, I think, so I rented that a few times.
I should have.
And I've got some random magazine that had like an article on it with some info that I referenced.
That game confused me, so I should have got a guide for that because I gave up on it as a child.
Yeah, that's a confusing one, but it's really like XD Gale of Darkness is excellent in my eyes.
I'm sure it is. I need to find it. I'm sure
and
it's
it was
expensive.
only years later that I eventually picked up Pokemon Coliseum, which is actually the
prequel.
The first game. XD Gale of Darkness is a sequel to that. And I did own a Coliseum guidebook that I had for a while, so I'd read through that a bunch.
I bought both of them, and both like were just like too different from my child brain to like, no, what's this dark Pokemon?
I mean, maybe it's because I played XD Gale of Darkness earlier, but Coliseum is definitely like there's some confusing, not just like the where you got to go and which
because it
order and
plays
stuff.
like
a JRPG.
Yeah, and Pokemon's so like easy, at least roll wise, that a kid can jump right in that. But when you jump to your first JRPG, it's like, okay, what is this? What's happening? I don't know. Those games were tough for me.
I never got to play Gen 3. I lusted after the Gen 3 games.
That was like my heyday.
Yeah, so I remember specifically I was in Toys R Us and I was asking for like, hey, let me get a Pokemon Sapphire. But my mom was like, no. I mean, I don't think it was a particular occasion, so it's not an outrageous denial there.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I had some feeling that like the end was nigh, because the Game Boy lifespan was ending and like games were disappearing. Like I couldn't articulate it, and I'm not sure how aware of it I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the ensuing months, like copies of Ruby and Sapphire just disappeared, and they stopped existing in the stores.
Oh man.
And I did resent her for not recognizing my foresight in that instance. Like, oh, yeah, we'll get it like Christmas or birthday or something. I was like, no, you bitch, listen, the time is limited. Gotta get your hands on these Game Boy games now.
I gotta catch them all.
And I still don't. I mean, like, I probably should just purchase one just to have it.
Yeah.
But like, you can see them in GameStop used, and it's like $35.
It's full price.
Still exactly what it was in the store.
It's amazing.
New in the packaging back then. Hasn't gone down.
It used too. It's out of box. Used $40.
Mm-hmm.
That's only Pokemon. Only Pokemon can do that. Every title.
Over the years, I've seen them range from like 32 to 42 in that used out of box state. The cartridges. But also around this time, I got Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Classic.
Red Rescue Team.
Same. That's that too. Yep.
If you remember, the first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, there was Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team. One version for the DS, one for the Game Boy Advance.
That's right. And I didn't have a DS either at that point.
Yeah,
that's why I got
was
Red.
On the Game Boy Advance version, and I loved that game. That was super cool.
That was, you know what? It was definitely like the most plot I've ever cared about in a Pokemon game. But yet again, my young brain was just like too different, and I gave up after a few few hours of that one too. I was such a purist. I was such a purist.
those
back
games
then.
are definitely challenging. The sort of lineage they come from, the Mystery Dungeon franchise,
That genre, yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah.
is known for being challenging, even if the Pokemon version was toned down a little bit.
Those games are pure though.
I think I beat that game, yeah. And man, guidebooks. So I don't think I owned the Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team, Blue Rescue Team guidebook,
Yeah.
but I rented it from the library a bunch again. And the guidebooks for those just always annoyed me a little bit because the stats in those games it's kind of weird. And so it's just like tough to look up and like reference stats and stuff because the stats aren't as easy to understand and interpret as instantaneously.
Yeah, it was a little bit archaic in how because that series, that genre, Mystery Dungeon genre, has been going on forever. Everything has a spin-off like that. But I didn't know. It was my first one. I didn't know it was a thing.
And then there was also, this was a little while before all this, there was a Pokemon Pinball Game Boy game.
Yeah, so, it was a...
With I forget what it was for, if it was like for a save feature, if it was a Rumble Pack, but it has like a AA battery slot in the game cartridge.
I think it might have been like motion, you think?
I think it was a
Rumble. I remember having a Pokemon pinball game on Game Boy Advance, and it was like Ruby Sapphire themed.
Oh yeah. That's out, and this was old.
Oh, it's the first one on
stuff.
Game Boy. Okay.
It was one of the fat, big old Game Boy cartridges. Yeah,
classic.
the squares.
Yeah.
As an aside, I also had a PC game. It was a Pokemon trading card game, video game.
Not official.
And I think it was just like two of the base set like original decks. You could pick one or the other and play against the computer with.
Did you ever buy the cards?
Oh yeah, I was big into cards.
Me too.
Collecting initially. I mean, we went around yard sailing a bunch, and we were able to acquire quite a few. I still have the binders. I've got like thousands of cards, I'm sure.
Me too. Yeah. Oh, Pokemon.
At one point, I did have a holographic base set first edition Charizard too.
I still have my holographic Charizard. Not first. It's not first edition, unfortunately.
First edition.
Yeah, but you don't have it anymore. What happened? What happened to it?
I think we sold a bunch of doubles we had just because we're also big yard sailors in terms of holding them, and I don't care about like the sentimental or like honorific value, so I flipped that Charizard for like $70 or something at a yard sale.
And now it's like $250 to $300.
Yeah,
Ugh.
value's up and down on that.
True, but yours first edition, that holds pretty steady. Mine's not.
Yeah,
Look, that's a pretty steady one.
So what happened after the? Oh yeah. So, Nintendo DS. I did a trial. It was like the demo of Pokemon Platinum.
Ooh.
In stores and like a store model of a DS, and like the prospect of touchscreen controlling Pokemon was so cool. Like the selecting moves in that manner.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this shit is crazy. I'm not sure if you played the demo, but it was.
Well, was it Platinum or Diamond or Pearl? Because Diamond and Pearl came out first.
Ooh, maybe it was the Diamond and Pearl demo.
And then Platinum was like it was like the Game of the Year edition.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Yeah, it must have been the Diamond and Pearl demo.
No, I didn't try the demo. I did not.
I forget what route it took place on, but you walk up a route, and there's like 3 trainers, left, right, left, that you fight consecutively, and it was double battles, I think. You had a Lucario that was like level 32, wow. And then your second Pokemon was a little more of a basic bitch.
This is
but
quite the memory.
Moves with the touchscreen was the coolest thing ever. And then it took a while, but at one point I got the Dialga and Palkia imprinted onto the Onyx DS thing. And then a little bit later, I think I got Pokemon Platinum. So that was my Gen 4 title.
That's the best
for that
one.
Console there.
But so this is where after Platinum, this is where I start to fall off of Pokemon for a while. Is after Platinum, What is this? Is that the same for you? Is it the same case?
No, I was on the train for a while.
Okay.
To continue the guidebook stories, I got the Platinum guidebook. And what was it? Explorers of Time and Darkness were the mystery dungeon games after Red and Blue. I got those. I got the guidebook for
and then
those.
Sky came afterwards, I think.
And then Sky was like the third.
The Platinum.
Yeah. The Platinum or the Crystal to Time and Darkness. And I did get Explorers of Sky as well. I got that guidebook as well, I think.
Yep. Platinum is my height of like obsession. Like live, breathe. I have like 4 guidebooks just for Platinum, all like different editions and throughout different times.
Yeah, I have a number of like general Pokedex.
Me too. Yeah. The national decks
from that era.
They're huge. They're not. They're.
Oh yeah. The Platinum. Ooh, the Platinum was the last of a generation. The Platinum was a giant, massive, thick, meaty guidebook.
I have it.
$20, standard guidebook price. After that, they started splitting them up.
Ugh.
I think the Explorers of Sky guidebook had a part A and a part B, both. Gotta buy them both $20.
Evil.
And then the one I noticed really was Heart Gold and Soul Silver. There's a part 1 and a part 2 guidebook, and they got away with it there. The sneaky fucks.
See, I didn't even pick it up.
Silver's got like 2 halves, right? So they had like the Kanto and the Johto half of the game guidebooks for each. And so like, okay, it's somewhat natural. But they kept going from I'm not sure if they still do it, but I know that in the next title at least, they had a part A and a part B, black and white. Black and white. A and a part B of the guidebook. Both full price.
Yeah, but where's the division in that one? Where do they slice it up?
They did that, like they set the precedent and they went forward. The bastards! I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, but where would they cut it? Like after game? Is there an after game book?
I don't remember.
Because I get like Heart Gold and Soul Silver. There is a clear division in the games.
I don't think I got the black and white guide, so I'm not sure how they did it.
That's
or maybe it was like most of like the index stuff and like item info was in part.
See,
B.
that's the thing. So in these new ones that come out new, you're not going to get the dex info.
That's right, people. Scissor Guy 82 is back with another Pokemon guidebook review, and today we got the gargantuan Pokemon Platinum guidebook. This thing's so big. Let's see how long it takes me to flip through each page individually from cover to cover. Let's begin. 1, 2.
You're just going to get like a description of the Pokemon.
But what really pissed me off was the fact that like put spine to or like cover to back cover.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 guidebooks were still smaller than the massive fucking Platinum.
The Platinum book is
Anyone
ridiculous.
The Pokemon Platinum guide, like it's a dictionary. It's huge. So like for some reason the Platinum guidebook they could do just fine charging $20 for that, but then for fewer pages they had to double the price by cutting it in half with these successive guidebooks. Man, don't know what happened.
Yeah. So here we have the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl guidebook, right? It's got the story, but it's got like the story guide, but then here's the Pokedex. It's just the Pokemon and where to find it, and that's it. There's no moves, no anything. That's the first one. This is the first official guide that comes out with every Pokemon game. What they do with you next is then they release this, which is the Diamond and Pearl Pokedex book as well. So there it is, like, and then okay, here's all the Pokemon in the Pokedex book and the after game. So, or no, it's not even the after game. This is the full. Is this the full game? No, okay, so yeah. And then they do the post-game guide. So this is just for the regular game. Pokemon Platinum, whatever. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Let me get this garbage out of there. You're done, Battle Revolution. Here's that game. And And then we got the Pokedex for Diamond and Pearl. This is just for Diamond and Pearl with the after game walkthrough there. And then, then we have the Platinum book, right? Which is both a walkthrough of the regular game and the after game and Pokedex, plus a million other things. So, like, he wanted to just do spine to spine or whatever his weird terminology was. Yeah, look at that. It's still not as big as this Platinum one. He's right, but it looks like they just do it forever and they're just scamming us constantly. This might go in the video, actually. Okay. Ugh. This has been Scissor Guy 82. I guess. Kind of wasn't at the end there. Oh, I'm zooming in. No, I've messed it all up. No.
See, here's a question I wanted to pose, and we can continue your story. Is Pokemon A, the most pure video game out there, or B, the most corporate game out there? Because I have a trouble, like
That's funny.
it could be both. Because every game is just pure fun every time, but again, they come out every year. Sometimes 2 games at once each year, 3 maybe, and there's spin-offs. Is it pure, or is it just worse than Call of Duty?
Yeah, I think it could be both, because I'm not sure they interfere with each other.
I don't know.
Because Pokemon has got a very specific core appeal that works really well and no one complains about.
And new fans continue getting on the bandwagon. Every kids of kids of kids, they just keep jumping on.
It's perfect in a lot of regards. Yeah. And so certainly it is corporate, and that there's tons of merchandise and it comes out regularly and blah blah blah, all these different aspects that would
anime
relegate
figures,
the title as corporate, but none of that conflicts with the game itself,
right?
Or any of those aspects of it that have remained pure.
Other than Pokemon Yellow, I don't think they've ever that might have been the most corporate they've gotten, is in flooding the game with anime references.
Yeah, I haven't played Yellow.
I mean, the first gen I think is unplayable now, but
really,
in current
I mean, I know,
standards,
right? It had Team Rocket and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's Team Rocket, and your
Jesse
starter
and
is
James
Pikachu. Your starter is Pikachu.
It had the anime storyline.
Yeah. So that's the only time where the other products influenced the game, where now it's just the game is its own thing, and then that influences the other
late
products.
90s, in Japan, there was a big multimedia franchise boom thing. And so Nintendo whoa, let's mix the game world and the whatever world. But
that's Nintendo. That's their meetings.
They pumped the brakes on that a little bit because they realized that they can just get away with keeping them separate, and everyone's gonna be happy with that.
Yeah. Well, more also oh, now we make Sun and Moon anime because the Sun. They just do that way. The game influences everything else.
Did you play the Pokemon Ranger games?
Never. I never did. That's the only spin-off series that's main. That's it's not just a mobile game. That I haven't even looked at. I don't know why. Because I played the Fire Emblem spin-off that they did with Pokemon on the DS, but not that one.
I was subscribed for a while to Beckett Unofficial Pokemon Collector, I think, which was a Pokemon magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a bunch of info about the card game and what games were coming out, and they came out in Japan 6 months prior to the US easily. At this point, Sun and Moon, they had simultaneous worldwide release, but
yeah, they've been doing worldwide since X and Y, I think.
And I was that was my first weeb moment, actually. I was man, I should learn Japanese so I can play the Pokemon games when they come out.
We're discovering Pokemon is the core of Pedantic Romantic's channel now.
I was hearing about, reading about, the
me
game,
too, though.
but it
Me
wasn't
too.
out yet. But everything I'd read about Pokemon Ranger just sort of mystified me. Like, it's weird, like, alien systems. But Pokemon Ranger, I think that was another yard sale title.
I never went to yard sales as a kid. What did I miss out on?
It's pretty cool.
What's
like,
the quality of a yard
treasure
sale?
hunting aspect, especially like being into something like Pokemon, which is
Everyone has it.
like a pseudo collector's item, but like tons of people had it.
Yeah.
But it had sort of passed its apex, so you had a lot of families who had like bought a ton of Pokemon shit in the 90s or early 2000s, but were done with it now, so you could find it fairly often.
Yeah. Yeah, because like there were people really into getting all the cards from base set 1. There were people getting really into getting all the figures and plushies and thinking they'd be worth something, and sometimes they were, but most of the time, trash.
I've got a massive amount of Pokemon stuff, just from yard sale acquisitions.
Let me ask, Pokemon cards, you have thousands. Have you ever played one match of the Pokemon card game?
Yeah, I went to a local Pokemon League for a period of a few months. It was probably a few months. It's just being in a single parent household, it was tough to like get driven anywhere, but it was like
well, that's the thing.
nights.
Like I never played one game of the card game, but I had thousands of cards.
Yeah, I mean, I was a pure collector for a while. Actually, that was my going back in time. So kids talked about Pokemon at school a little bit, and I was like, ooh, Pokemon, that's cool. But then, because we went to church, my parents were like, oh, wait, I heard Pokemon's demonic, so let's pump the brakes on that. But eventually, like, for one reason or another,
evolution,
that belief, they left that behind. And so the summer I turned 9, we were on vacation somewhere. We like rented a vacation house for a week, and we went to a flea market. And it was there that I got my first Pokemon thing, which was an Eevee card, because Eevee was adorable.
Oh yeah, maybe the cutest Pokemon.
I might have, like, they might have given up on Pokemon being demonic a little before that, and so I might have seen the anime a bit beforehand, but I'm not sure. So that Eevee card may have been, like, my first Pokemon interaction.
Okay, well, you always have one. You always have your first. Eevee is it.
And I forget why that was relevant.
I asked you about yard sales, why they were, like, I never grew up with them, and you were then you went on something.
But Pokemon Ranger, really cool game actually. Like once I got my hands on it, the mechanics totally make sense. Like,
I don't know anything about it.
Actually, I played them for a while. I feel like I have less like memories of having played it.
There's a couple of them, right? There's like 2 or 3.
Or maybe I don't know. I think about it less. But thinking back on it, Pokemon Ranger is like incredibly fucking cool and fun.
Really? I'm trying to picture, is the gameplay you have the stylus on the bottom half of the screen, you're like circling a Pokeball, like you're roping it in? Or Pokemon?
Yeah, the sort of the core battle mechanic there is that you get into an instance, and you have to draw circles around the Pokemon to capture it, and it has an attack pattern, and so you've got to continue drawing these circles while not getting hit, and you leave a trail behind. So if that trail or your stylus or your like spinner thing itself gets hit, you take damage, and every completed circle does like damage to their capture bar. And then the more you do, I think, like, it stacks, so it's combos, so you're incentivized to, like, keep it going as long as possible. But then once you've captured a Pokemon, it's sort of one-time use, and they've got, like, attacks that you use in this pseudo-battle you've got going on. And the mechanical interplay there is just really interesting.
Who said the touchscreen just a gimmick?
Oh yeah, it totally justified the use of the touchscreen marvelously. Those attacks also had like overworld uses.
You mean like to travel, so traverse?
Yeah, so like a bird Pokemon you could use fly. And just even like the gameplay loop of being at a place and wanting to go somewhere else, so having to like walk over to an area with bird Pokemon and find one and capture it in order to fly to the place you want to go. It's just a cool little mechanical gameplay loop there. And then, a bunch of puzzles are built off of like needing to go find a Pokemon that's like hidden away in the area somewhere, and their specific ability lets you get through a door or something. So there's just a lot that can be done with it.
So you're saying don't skip out on Rangers, because I've never played it. I've never played the game. It's worth it.
Yeah, I think they made at least a third title. I only played the first and the second.
I don't know if they ever did one on 3DS, though. I think it was all on DS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so post Rangers, I think we go into Black and White on DS.
Black and White.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you?
Oh no, Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Oh, you touched that with the guidebook.
And
right?
those are my family bought both, because at that point my siblings
We're into it.
like wanted to play Pokemon too, so we got like one for me and one for them. Did you play Heart Gold?
I
Soul
did
Silver?
not. So Platinum was the last one that I played. I don't know if Heart Gold came before or after that, but it was Diamond or Platinum. That was the last one I played for a good while. So I skipped. Right now you're in the territory that I don't know a lot about, which is Black and White Ranger, Black and White 2. That area I'm very fuzzy on the knowledge there.
Yeah. So I was still into Pokemon at that point in time. So we got, excuse me, both Black and White once again upon release. One for me and then one for both of my siblings, I think. And then Black 2, White 2.
And those games good? You liked them?
Yeah. The 3D was like super cool on the DS, even in the limited capacity.
I
those
remember
games employed
Pokemon
it in.
fans going insane over it because I was still in the community. I was online a lot with Pokemon. It's probably my first like online fan base I've ever been a part of is Pokemon, and I remember I was going insane at the trailer of that. Why 3D? Even though it looked horrible,
Yeah.
and like every other franchise has been able to do it already years before.
Oh, that's right, and they had the 3D sprites as well, which was, or not the 3D sprites, but like the moving.
They had moving
which
sprites.
is new.
Well, it was so they had moving sprites, but it was only for when they came into the battle. Black and White, it was throughout the entire battle. So
Yeah, exactly.
Which was another big deal, of course. That's the biggest deal ever.
But yeah, the Pokemon were cool. Like it just gave them, especially the early parts of the game. Like you just get access to a nice little mix, and that gets you going. And then Black and White 2 came out, picked both those up as well. They change a decent amount over Black and White, and so they're an enjoyable playthrough on their own merits as well. I think their big thing was the fact that they had a bunch of Pokemon from older generations like mixed in throughout all the areas to
Correct,
keep things
because
fresher.
Black and White was just that
Yeah.
original 150 something.
But there's like plot elements that reroute you in Black and White 2 as well, so you end up going through the region in a different manner.
And then you know what? I wish Pokemon did that more often. A direct sequel, like canonically, like it makes sense from the previous.
Oh, that's
title.
right. Yeah, it was a sequel as well.
Yeah, that's like, oh, that's the character from that. Now it's always like this different universe with maybe a couple hints at other places, but it's always completely separate. But Gold and Silver like amazed me when you could go to Kanto and like fight all the gym leaders you are, and the gym leader like arrangement changed. Like Koga was now the Elite Four, and his daughter took the place of the. I'm like, oh, this is why can't no more, please. But now it's like
there's actually some cool interconnectedness. It's not quite like Hyrule Historia levels of lore convolution, but there's a timeline for the Pokemon games. Like you can tell there's a few characters from Gold and Silver that show up in Gen 4. It's like you could try and like piece together like, okay, so this happens after that, even though they're sort of
that's
geographically
right. That's
isolated
right.
from
The
each
Steel
other.
Gym leader is in
Yeah.
the final 8th gym city. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Whatever the name is, Karen or something. I don't know.
I don't know, she's a cutie.
She is. I agree. Her Ampharos would probably do her better in her gym though than her Magnemite. But yeah, so Black and White 2, I'm out. of the game, and main reason I'm out isn't that I don't like Pokemon anymore, is because my DS broke from my incessant. This is true. This is a true fact. The rumor of if you hold A and B, and it catches the Pokemon more like effectively. I did that so often that I broke the buttons. So I didn't. I just my DS wouldn't work anymore. I mean, you turn on, you can play the games, but it's like the A and B button you're not going to use at all, and you kind of required
that the Diamond Pearl edition Onyx DS there. It's definitely like on its way out though. Like there's a lot of game cartridge blowing on that needs to occur, and like it'll lose connection with the game, and like you got to blow on the slot and stuff. Like the old girl, it's not long for this world, unfortunately.
What model DS did you get? Did you get the light? Did you get the original?
I think it was. It's a DS Lite.
Yeah, that's model. The one everyone. Yeah, that's the classic. Because no one bought the first one because it was ugly, pyramid, gross design. Like, oh wait, well, I'm sorry.
I didn't buy it just because I was buying a Game Boy at the time that was out.
Yeah, you get a GameCube and a Game Boy Advance SP as the Wii, and the DS are out. That's special. That's the yard sale mentality. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, thrifty shoppers. We were always like.
What, the GameCube must have been consoles. What, $40? Game Boy Advance must have been like 20, 30.
Yeah. It was pretty cheap. But then after that point, I was sort of out of the Pokemon game as well, because I was out of the possessing a console with games coming out for them game.
Because you had to get a 3DS
X and
now.
Y,
yeah.
I didn't get my hands on the new Mystery Dungeon games. So at this point...
So we're post Black and White and Black and White 2. We're going to X and Y, which is a huge deal. The 3D...
Post DS being released, I didn't know much about X and Y.
Yeah. I heard about it because it was like the first all 3D Pokemon, but like...
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard about it.
Again, I was out of it too.
I'm
like, dumb. Stupid new Pokemon.
By this point, I was into Pokemon Showdown, which is like the online competitive battle simulator.
What? I've never heard of it.
No, Ben Saints...
So it's just purely on. I thought it was like an MMO fan thing. Yes, I have heard of it. Okay.
No, it's
yes.
You just sort of get in,
because that's like,
and it's got its own sort of metagame.
It does.
Developed.
Well, it's the same. It's the same metagame, right, as normal Pokemon. It's just it's easier to use. You can just get the strong Pokemon immediately, right? So
there is a VGC format you can select there, but the prominent format there is, singles. VGC is double battles, and so there's a sort of a different metagame that exists there.
Who likes double battles? No one likes double battles.
Yeah, it's very odd that competitive is double battles. But because everything is connected to YouTube, I was watching a bunch of Pokemon Showdown on YouTube. I'm not sure if I got into that first or after the site itself. But I was there for the tail end of the Black and White 2 meta, I think.
Which was apparently broken because of Politoed and his rain dance shenanigans.
Yeah, weather was super dominant Gen 5 because we got hidden abilities, which were like Pokemon could... Just a bunch of Pokemon got second abilities that you could get through the Dream World mechanic.
What? I know that the Black and White always perplexed me because at one hand, like, I wanted to play it, but on the other hand, like, I was like, this is weird though. It's all these. It's none of my old favorites.
Most Pokemon games like have come to have like weird, like fucky Wi-Fi online like element things. Black and White's was particularly like prominent just in your UI and stuff. I didn't mess with it at all, and it's not like at all integral to the gameplay experience. But so weather was dominant because weather effects. You know, you'd come in with this. It was called the Weather Wars. Basically, like the metagame centered around your weather inducer, and like if you could take out your opponent's weather inducer first, you'd basically win because then you could get your weather up and sweep. And so there were sand teams based around Tyranitar and Excadrill, because
it made it unwatchable because it was just that. There was nothing else to it.
Was that doubles too? The
Yeah,
Weather Wars?
it was both. Both were Weather Wars.
VGC, yeah. It was dominant in singles as well. But I liked the lower tiers. So Pokemon Showdown has a usage-based ranking system. So there's the base tier, which is called Overused. And any Pokemon with a usage rate below a certain percent in Overused would get put into Underused. And then any Pokemon with a low enough usage rate in Underused that it's crappy in that tier would go down to Rarely Used. And then if it's low enough and Rarely Used, you get all the way down to Never Used. And so I just found it more fun, at least early on, to mess around in those lower tiers and making those less competitively viable Pokemon work.
That is interesting. You played it? You didn't just watch
so
it? You partook in it?
OU is the primary metagame, but I wasn't interacting with that much during the Black and White days. And, like, it's fascinating, really. Pokemon Showdown and then the associated site Smogon.
Yes.
Like, all the politics there. Like, there's a giant, massive community and, like, competitive debates about rankings. Like, fascinating stuff.
Pokemon's serious business, Lachlan. Pokemon's serious business.
No, it really is. And there's a VGC YouTuber called Verlicify who thinks that the Smogon metagame is like invalid and stupid, and he got into a fight with the community. There's a lot of history there. It's fascinating stuff.
It is. You know, people that on the outside that don't know, but it's a kid's game. It's like the amount of hardcore adult rage that goes on within Pokemon communities is just beautiful. It's great. Like especially like over the minor changes. I'll go into a little thing here. I was in the spriting community when around 2010-ish, right before Black and White comes out. I've already been in there for a year or two, but we hated Black and White because they made the sprites more simplified and less shading so they could move more. And we're like, these sprites are garbage. What is this? So I already had to like distaste for Black and White because we couldn't morph them like the way we could before with Diamond and Pearl, it's just hilarious to me to look back on that. But yeah, so Black and White was viewed very negatively in my community back then.
All right, because it made spriting so difficult. Yeah, Smogon took a little while to get 3D sprites implemented. I mean, they had like I mean, there's a subset of the community just like centered around getting sprites into the format as soon as they can upon the new game's release.
But now it's like tougher because they're models with animation loops and stuff.
Yeah, but not having access to a 3DS or any of the 3DS Pokemon games, the reason I was able to sort of maintain my level of knowledge even of the new Pokemon and moves is the fact I was on Pokemon Showdown, so X and Y releases, and I don't play those games, but I know pretty much all the Pokemon from them just because I'm interacting with them in this online battler here.
I never got into competitive Pokemon. That's why like I'm doing a Nuzlocke, because that's like I love just building a team and then the emotional connection, not the numbers game. Let's see if they're EVs and IVs and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I can't imagine I'd ever get into like the breeding or trading aspect because that's immensely dull.
But it's hundreds of hours of
yeah,
just for one Pokemon out of 6 you need for one team.
For me,
I agree, but I guess Showdown cuts all that meat out.
Yeah.
So
the competitive aspect
is interesting.
There is super cool because like it's heavily based in prediction, so it's this multi-layered psychological chess game.
I agree. Like that's the thing. Like Pokemon is so big that it can encapsulate the 20 million people that just like it because it's cute, but also there's like this small group, but small as in millions, that also can just like upload daily videos of online Wi-Fi battles and get 4 million hits per video and have like 6 million subscribers just doing online stuff because that's also equally interesting.
And just recently, like a few months ago, Pokemon X and Y were on sale, and my brother had gotten a 3DS a while back, and so I picked up Pokemon Y on the cheap and played through that on his 3DS, and so I have now played that game. I think I played through it twice, or almost. Like I got to the Elite Four a second time or something. Great game.
Yeah. So you've played X and Y then. That's as far
Yeah.
as you are.
That's where I left off. Sun and
Okay.
Moon looks super fun. It's like
It is. It is. It
wasn't on sale or anything. So
'Cause
I
it's new.
haven't picked it up yet.
Sun and Moon's still charting on the NPD like today. Like it's still selling six figures. What, how many months? By the way, while we were recording this podcast, Nintendo just announced, speaking of demos, a Sun and Moon demo at GameStop's this Saturday or whatever. Like what? This deep into it? I don't get it. But maybe someone will be equally amazed by because that design aspect of Sun and Moon is opening up the world and making it a little more like like exploring almost than just like grid-based RPG. There's no grid anymore.
It'll be immensely interesting to see where Pokemon goes from here, because Sun and Moon certainly changed it up more so than any Pokemon game has.
Well, yeah, I do want to say that no company, no video game developer has ever performed an anniversary year better than Pokemon, because the 20th anniversary was probably the greatest like thing you could have imagined to happen on like an anniversary year for any franchise. They start out with re-releasing the original games on Virtual Console. That sells millions. Virtual Console games never sell millions. Then they had Pokemon Tournament, whatever. Then they had Go. Pokemon Go is like like this just what do you even describe it as? Because I feel like that almost will have a bigger effect than the Sun and Moon will. But Sun and Moon also is going to be the highest selling Pokemon game ever. It's the fastest selling right now. So it's like
Sun and Moon, it's interesting because a lot of the gameplay mechanic changes and innovations are somewhat heavily couched in the specific setting and circumstances of that game.
you're right. Yeah, the Hawaii.
I'm not sure I see. I'm just like the whole like Kahuna structure and things are based around the Alola culture.
You know what? You are right. Where do they go from here?
It'll be interesting. Like, do we just go back to gyms, or are these like more? Are these changes something that are gonna have a more lasting sort of effect on titles moving forward?
Part of that aspect will be realize if they move to Switch. They move to Nintendo Switch, they're gonna be.
Oh, that theory, yeah.
Is they gonna open up the game even more then and become more graphically intensive? Thus, you can do more with the overworld.
I can't imagine they're gonna stop doing handheld Pokemon
Me either.
games. I would love.
3DS is selling like crazy still.
Yeah, another JRPG Pokemon game, another XD Yellow Darkness style. Come on.
Yeah. So.
What are you doing, Miyazaki? Let's go.
Sugoi, said Miyamoto. That's the funny thing about like people that are for the Pokemon normies, that like Nintendo does not own it. I hate people like, oh, if Nintendo wants to show that they're serious with Switch, they need to get a Pokemon game on Nintendo Switch. It's like they don't make that decision. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not in their best interest either, I don't think, because the install base is there. So you're looking at me starting with my brother getting a Game Boy, and then with Red and Blue, and of course that's like my first memories with a video game is Pokemon. So I start there, and I continue on with Game Boy Advance SP. So I just played that. We skipped Gold and Silver. I play Fire Red and Leaf Green. Love it. That's it. I'm in. All my friends are in. That's all we talk about. All we do, get the cards into the schoolyard, trade them, battle them, never, because we don't do that. We're not smart enough to figure out the meta game of Pokemon trading card game, because it doesn't make sense to me still. It still doesn't make sense, because it's the Pokemon trading card game seems like it's all just one thing you need to do that's lucky, and then that's the entire meta game is, oh, you got the one lucky thing, and then you're good to go. Then you win the game. Is that I pulled the card I need to win. That's the game, and then it can end in like 2 minutes after that. None of it seems like there's not much strategy after the fact. The strategy is building the deck. Like in that meta game, the strategy is your deck. Once it's out on the field, there's not much decision making that doesn't rely on just luckily picking up the card you need, or them luckily picking up the card they need, and whoever gets lucky first wins. It's just not very something I like playing. I would rather be more strategic if I was going to get into the card game, especially because it's so expensive to get all the cards required to have a good deck. It's if I could just buy, I want to buy this Sableye deck. I know that was a big deal the other year or two ago. Let me get the Sableye deck. Oh, nope. Sorry. You're not gonna you can't do that. You have to get lucky and get all the EX cards and all you need. I don't know how different the Sun and Moon card game is because they added GXs to it, but I assume it's not too different. GXs are probably similar to the X and Y card metagame, but that was getting, it's good because that was getting really bloated with break cards, EXs, and then Megas as well. So those three added on top of just regular Pokemon battling, it definitely was like a little bloated in what you could do. So it was kind of, and dual typing was in that for like 1 second and they got rid of it.
There's a feeling I'm getting.
But anyway, that was a long monologue about something that I don't know a lot about. I just like the art. The Pokemon movies are not good. They most of the anime isn't good until like I think Sun and Moon actually looks great. I'm a dub only Pokemon anime viewer. I'm not no Satoshi. There isn't no Lizardon. Okay, I am purist when it comes to that. There is no Ash, Charizard. That's what I go for. I'm not here to listen to all my childhood get raped by the Japanese language. Okay? I'm sick of it. I don't want that to happen to me. I'm a dub purist Pokemon anime viewer. There's nothing else.
I was. Well, not with any particular conviction behind it. I just only watched it in the dub until Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then I was like,
oh my goodness.
well, I was both. I'm a weeb now, so I can do this. And also, I want to see the new Pokemon Sun and Moon dog, so I hopped on that.
I know, but I just can't let him. I can't hear Satoshi. I can't hear Lizardon. It just hurts. They're raping my childhood with Japanese.
A tough adjustment. But
yeah.
I like. I mean, honestly, I had started cringing a bit at some of the voices in Pokemon dubs, at least the newer Pokemon that I was watching, and hearing a nice, refreshing, tolerable Japanese Ash.
Maybe,
good for my soul.
But I just that's part of it to me. That's part of the core appeal. So Ash's
voice actor has changed.
Well, is it Japanese different?
In English over the years.
The English has. I watched all of X and Y in dub. I thought it was fine. The dub's fine in that. I actually like it. So at least in that one, it's not grating. But I don't know. A Japanese Team Rocket also bothers me too because those voices are so iconic. I can't not like hear them be them.
Yeah, but we don't have original James doing the voice anymore. I don't think. Right?
It still sounds pretty close. Let's not get into let's not get pedantic about this, okay? We've well eclipsed the time I wanted to cover.
Yeah, we'll have podcasts for multiple grinding episodes, I think.
You're welcome back anytime. Yes. It's a very organized. It's not weekly. It's just scheduled for when I need it. Yeah, definitely. We didn't even while you were gone, I got in a rant about the trading card game, like the meta of it. And it's just like we could go on forever about that. The anime we barely touched except for Sun and Moon, which I guess people care about because it's like, what is it? What's the word? Sakuga? Yeah, it's like 100% Sakuga all the time apparently.
Did you see the clips from the baseball?
No.
Scene?
If it's not on my timeline, I don't see it for that because I'm waiting for dub.
Okay, hold on. Let me
link it.
If this is the one. Looks like fucking Ashita no Joe. Like this stellar sketchy animation. It's amazing. Here, wait, I'll post it in.
Who knew? Because people were like praising X and Y for being like all the 3D backgrounds and you know what I mean.
And this one, like, I mean, similarly in that it's like computer effects, but like hand drawn computer, like
Yeah.
the opposite
Oh
direction.
my gosh.
It's so
What?
good.
Look at the ball.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm not. What is even going on? Why are they playing baseball?
It's a baseball episode.
Okay.
It's
Hey, I'm fine with it.
classic anime.
Did you ever watch the original anime, like when it first aired?
Yeah. I've watched a good chunk of the Pokemon anime
Yeah,
and various
I think the main difference
Bits and
between
pieces
first
throughout the years.
Sun and Moon's like a whole different deal with Pokemon anime. I think the first anime is more just like based on humor, where now in the later ones it's gotten really just based on.
Did you see the video about the writer for the first season of Pokemon?
No, I didn't. I obviously I'm missing out.
There was a YouTube video that sort of chronicled the guy who had written the first season and I think like the first 2 movies. Like he had a very clear vision for the series, and so like the first season is special in that regard, and then sort of things went a different way afterwards.
Yeah, now it's more plot. It's almost more plot focused. And this X and Y at least.
Oh, I bet you love Sun and Moon because like it's like
I'm sure.
very like gag.
Oh my! Is that
Comedy.
Electabuzz throwing to a Gyarados?
Visual humor, slapstick.
Oh,
Just,
no,
brilliant
that's
expressive animation.
what's hurting about it. Because every time I see a GIF of this, it's like the greatest thing ever to exist.
It started airing like 2 weeks ago, I think, in the U.S. dubbed.
I'll have to start watching it. Yeah, what I was gonna say is like the writing for X and Y does tend to skew more serious, but the problem is like once they get to episode like 100,
Yeah.
it just completely falls apart completely. It's just the worst. It's the worst like ever. The what it's like they made a
I was on X and Y for a while.
X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm talking about specifically. Is X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So it's like the second season of it. I think X and Y is pretty like a solid anime, like overall throughout, like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But then when X, Y, and Z comes out, it tries to become all plot and based on the game's plot, and it just like no, not a good thing. Please don't.
And that's my review of Pokemon Platinum's guidebook. I guess all I had to say was it's really big, and there's a lot of information in it. Look at all of this information. Join me next time when I review the Pokemon Battle Revolution Guidebook. This is Scissor Guy 82. Is that the number? Whatever. Signing out. Yeah. Was that 10 minutes? Can I put 2 ads on that?
The game's plot sucked for a reason. Like, I never paid attention to plot until Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon was like okay, this is actually interesting. So I'm sure I'd love the anime. I do need to get onto that. I probably would fall in love with it immediately, especially from the Electabuzz picture I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'll have
It's
to,
only like 3 or 4 episodes out in the dub so far, so you can catch up instantaneously.
that's
pretty
probably the rest of my day. Well, I think we've talked about Pokemon at length. I could way more as well.
much. Yeah,
but-
we can wait until we get Splatoon 2 out and then have many a conversation.
Oh, we
over
could do a
streams of
Splatoon thing because you're really into that. Well, you want to be into it. Sorry, you want to be really into it.
I'm fairly positive I'll become instantly deeply invested in playing Splatoon when and if I ever get my hands on it, because I'm a big online competitive shooter guy.
That's true. That you have told me that in the past. I'm looking at what we got here for questions. I did tweet out if anyone has questions while we're here, so this guy, I already know the answer. He's like, we're both good boys. Who's the goodest boy? You are. You're the goodest and the cutest. You win
Well, I'd say you're probably the goodest.
Really?
Because I'm a big shit starter.
that. But but here's the thing, right? And here's not to get too real. Like you do reach out, and if they do not like give you the same decency you do, then you become that starter. But if like you reach out to me or other people, if they're genuine and nice to you, you're like, that's okay. You're my friend now. So that is, I don't reach out normally to anyone. So it's like, that is a difference. There's a gooder value there.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
I just like my conception of a good boy. Sort of you embody it with your lack of conflict in general.
True. Hey, you know what? That one's a toss up. Okay, I'll give you that one. Okay. Did we just burst link over the internet right there?
Yeah, maybe.
Mathwiz comes in with the real knowledge here. Is 100% Pascal Sensei the true savior of anime? If I'm gonna be actually serious, at least for this season, and Pedantic knows this really well. For me, it is for at least spring. Like I hate spring 2017. Like, so it's kind of did save me a little bit for anime currently.
For me, Moe is the real savior of anime, but you'll see that in the video.
Oh, I'm excited.
Titled that, hopefully this Friday, although it's like a 14-minute video and I haven't even started the editing yet, so I don't know about that one.
Okay, Pop Vulture asks, how old are you? I think we're both 19, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're idiots. We don't know anything. At Redermit asks, our favorite bands. Do you have an answer for that? I do. And it's not even like I feel it strongly, but the band I so consistently enjoy is Fall Out Boy. I consistently enjoy every album they come out with, all their songs. I don't know any of the names of the people in it. Like, I don't follow it on a deep level, but like I talked about with my, if you remember, my Kobayashi's Maid Dragon video, where I talked about I like irreverence and density in things. Well, that's what they do. Every song is really irreverent, but it's also really dense with different melodic themes to it, and lyrical weirdness and silliness, and all their music videos are silly and weird and have nothing to do with the song. So I think that has to be my favorite, just because it's the one I've listened to the most.
Yeah, but I'd say probably Death Grips on both, because of the case Digi's made for them deserving that title, and then it being the band sort of that has a combo of most time I've spent listening to it overall, and most I've been invested in them recently. Because there's bands I've listened to more, but like I haven't listened to them in a while.
Not
and
in
like
your
I
psyche.
don't particularly care about them. And up close would be a few math rock groups, just because I really, really like math rock. But Death Grips is unique, I think, for me.
I've yet to venture into that rabbit hole.
Yeah, they released a new track EP something just 2 days ago, and it reminded me how much I appreciate the experience of listening to their stuff.
You know what? That would be the answer from a Digi, cuck there. Death Grips as your favorite band. You're really making that stereotype stronger there.
I mean, if I was, I'd say Coheed and Cambria if I really wanted to embody that.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Thank you for making my grinding a little less tedious, because I also don't want people to think I'm cheating. Every minute's got to be out there, but you don't really want that to be like a main episode.
Content.
This is my way of making the least interesting gameplay probably the most interesting episodes of the show. Somehow I've made that possible. And
I'd definitely do an XDL Darkness let's play at some point.
I would want to, because again, I didn't get too far with either of those games. I know they get really silly and really difficult. Like, they get brutal by the end of it.
Not too difficult.
But I know they get silly. I know they're the weirdest Pokemon games probably out there.
Yeah, they're fun.
Well, thank you for joining me, Pedantic. And so unless anything else to say about Pokemon, other than it's pure and corporate at the same time, I think we can leave off on that. Just remember to go watch my actual Nuzlocke too. That's good.
ではここで一句。ニドランが2度進化して2度キング。みんなもポケモンゲットじゃぞ。